Good evening, dear listeners. Welcome to another episode of Spirituality in Action. Interestingly, Spirituality in Action is 1 year today. And to commemorate this, we are having a role change, a role swap. Clement Etuk is our guest for today. I am Emmanuel Umo. I usually work in the background.
He always does.
The topic we are looking at today is the simplicity of Christian healing. But before we get down to the program proper, I have an important announcement. Lecture. The Christian Science Churches in Lagos cordially invites you to 2 public lectures. The first one is a radio lecture on the topic Christian Science Healing, Myth or Reality, on Friday the 21st of March at 6 p.m. on your favorite station 104.7 SMA FM. Our guest will be Mr. James Bikai, CSB. He is a Christian healer, a teacher, and an international speaker on Christian healing. The second lecture is a live lecture taking place at one of our branches, that is at First Church of Christ Scientist at Plot 4, Adegbuyi, Onikoyi Street, by Fagba Bus Stop, off Iju Road. The topic this time will be the healing power of divine love, and that will be on Sunday the 23rd of March 2025, time 2:30 p.m. The guest speaker will still be Mr. James Bikai, CSB. Divine love always has met and always will meet every human need. Mr. Etuk.
Okay.
Healing through prayer or spiritual healing. Some see it as a difficult process. Some even claim that it amounts to tempting God. How reliable and convenient is it?
That's a very, very good question. Healing through prayer often appears mysterious only to those who believe material laws are the governing forces of life. Some who question whether relying solely on God for healing believe that they are tempting God, or that doing so is a foolish thing. That is, having that notion that seeking divine help is presumptuous and unreliable. But true healing is neither a human effort to manipulate God, nor is it pleading for divine intervention. Christian healing is as natural as light dissolving darkness. It is the inevitable effect of understanding God's allness and man's inseparability from Him. Jesus Christ healed through revealing the reality of man's inseparability with God. He showed that God's creation is already whole and untouched by disease, sin, or fear. The basis of healing lies in the truth that man is truly God's image and likeness. That is found in Genesis 1:26. This means that man is not a separate being struggling to survive, pleading for relief, nor does he negotiate for spiritual blessings. Man derives all existence from God. Just as a sunbeam derives its existence from the sun, man is not apart from God's life. He is the very expression of it. And so, spiritual healing is nothing more than a changed mind, one that is now willing to follow the guidance of God as expressed through Spirit. It is important to note that every time we make a decision, we are choosing either the ego and fear or the spirit and demonstration of love and forgiveness. Knowing that our lives can be an endless series of demonstrating love, God, is exciting. Experiencing the feeling of love, that deep unconditional love, even once, creates our desire for it again and again. So shifting our thoughts from fear to love, from ego to spirit, aligns us perfectly with God's will and unfolds a continuous stream of God's goodness. Healing is not a process. It is a revelation of who we are right now as God's perfect children. It is not about persuading God to intervene and change our broken state. No. But about realizing that His work is already complete. Disease, lack, or fear only seem real when we forget this truth. One way of reinforcing this is by prayer. And you ask, what is prayer? Well, prayer is an absolute faith that all things are possible to God. This requires a spiritual understanding of Him. Now, this is paraphrased and adapted from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. So, true prayer is not about informing God of our needs, because God, who is infinite love, already knows and supplies all good. The command, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, Matthew 6:33, is not about earning blessings, but about awakening to the fact that nothing else matters. Our entire focus is on God. When our entire focus is on God, the conditions that once frightened us lose their reality. Healing happens when we shift our attention from problems to principle, from fear to truth, from matter to spirit. When we lean not on our own understanding, but on the divine mind, we find that healing is not about changing reality. It is about seeing what is already and always true. Just as 2 + 7 = 9 is an unchangeable fact, just as Q is always followed by R, our relationship with God is an unchangeable certainty. The moment we grasp this, not intellectually, but deeply and spiritually, healing naturally follows. The simplicity of Christian healing requires no special technique, only the willingness to see rightly. Just as darkness vanishes in the presence of light, error disappears in the presence of truth. When we understand our unbroken relationship with God as natural, we understand the basic facts of life as being from God. Healing is no longer a struggle. It becomes the most natural thing in the world.
Interesting.
Please.
Healing is not a process, but a revelation of who we are as God's children. Very, very interesting. That means anyone can do it once the person is ready to learn,
Yes,
and be humble and work with God.
exactly.
Can you share from your experience one such example?
Yeah. Yes, there was this time when I was suddenly gripped by severe pain around the abdomen. Fear crept in, whispering doubts about my well-being. And at first, I did struggle with the idea of the pain. So I contacted a practitioner who reminded me of the truth that I have the life of God. I don't have the life of Clement. I don't have the life of man. I have the life of God. And naturally, once your mind, your thoughts have been given a new directive, it becomes a light in the right direction. So I paused and turned to the truth that I am is always with me. I stopped trying to rid myself of discomfort. Instead, became aware of God's presence. I realized that I was already standing on holy ground, just as Moses was reminded at the burning bush. In that moment, the pain no longer felt personal. It might have, during the process, it seemed as if it took forever. But the moment I came to that realization that spirit excludes all form of materiality, and that the nature of pain, or the pain that I seem to have been experiencing, was totally not from God. It wasn't derived from God. It was really what it was, nothing. And that was when I had the healing. The healing came in, and it was beautiful. I slept off that night, I remember, and I woke up feeling very different. I started eating again, and I started eating very well. I remember even taking more portions than normal.
Thank you very much for that interesting account. This is to remind you again of our lectures coming up next weekend. The first one is a radio lecture titled Christian Science Healing, Myth or Reality. We're having a whole 1 hour program on this same station, SMA FM 104.7 at 6 p.m. So save that date. And the second one is coming up at our branch church at Fagba, Iju. And the topic that we'll be looking at is the healing power of divine love. And our lecturer is Mr. James Bikai, a Christian healer, a teacher, and an international speaker on Christian healing. For more details, you can call any of the following numbers: 0803 33 33 3803. I'll take that again: 0803 33 33 3803 or 080 623 14394. I'll take it again: 080 623 14394. So thank you once again, Mr. Clement, for the very inspiring ideas you've shared today. And dear listeners, thanks for listening, and have a splendid weekend. See you next week.
Thank you.
All to see.